Good evening. Many thanks for joining us. This is Nationwide on the network service of the NTA. I'm Ruth Aguera. Welcome. President Muhammadu Buhari has restated his position that Nigeria will indeed listen to science before the administration of any traditional or new medicines on Nigerians as cure for coronavirus. The president made this known at an audience meeting with President Umaru Sissoco Embalo of Guinea-Bissau. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo has that report.
The Presidential Task Force on COVID-19, led by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, had informed the nation that a consignment of Madagascan coronavirus cure donated to Nigeria and other West African countries had been shipped to Guinea-Bissau. On a one-day private visit to Nigeria, that country's president, Umaru Sissoco Embalo, brought along with him samples of the traditional medicine as shared to African nations by Madagascar. President Muhammadu Buhari said his position on all such herbal or traditional medicinal postulates had remained the same. Nigeria, he said, has institutions, systems, and processes capable of verifying any such formulations. He emphasized that without the required endorsement by such institutions, his administration will not allow any such native postulation against COVID-19 be put to use in the country. As at the time of filing in this report, Nigeria had recorded 5,445 confirmed cases of COVID-19, and efforts are being intensified towards flattening the curve and ultimately containing the pandemic. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
And in line with that report, the Nigeria Center for Disease Control has announced 288 new cases of COVID-19 in Nigeria. The new cases are reported in 15 states, with Lagos having 179, Kaduna 20, Katsina and Jigawa 15 each, Borno 13, Ogun 11, Kano 8, FCT 7, Niger and Ekiti 4 each, Oyo, Delta and Bauchi 3 each, Kwara 2 and Edo 1. As at 15th of May 2020, 3 deaths were recorded in Nigeria, and no new state has reported a case in the last 24 hours. Nigeria now has 5,445 cases confirmed, and 1,320 cases have been discharged, and 171 deaths have been recorded in 34 states and the Federal Capital Territory. In a related development, Imo State Governor Hope Uzodinma has reaffirmed his commitment to curtailing the spread of COVID-19. Now, he made this known in Owerri while briefing newsmen on the 4 new cases of coronavirus in the state. Let's hear from Bright Obuchu.
Governor Hope Uzodinma, who confirmed 4 new cases of coronavirus in Imo State, notes that one of the infected persons came in from Lagos and made contact with 3 members of his family who have also been confirmed positive. He affirms that there is need to strengthen measures already put in place.
COVID-19 is very serious and must be taken seriously. This COVID-19 does not know which political party you belong to, does not know which religion you go to, does not know which language you speak. He does not know who is a big man and who is a poor man. But we are united in agreeing it is a dangerous virus that must not kill all our people. So the earlier we begin to take it very seriously, the better for all of us.
The governor, however, warns that the directive on compulsory use of face masks in public places and social distancing are still in place and must be fully complied with. Imo State now has a total of 7 confirmed cases of COVID-19 in Owerri. Bright Ebuchu, NTA News.
And in Ebonyi State, the state government has discharged 1 out of 9 patients that tested positive of COVID-19. State Commissioner for Health, Daniel Umezuruke, confirmed that more will be discharged soon.
Dr. Umezuruke urged the public not to stigmatize the discharged COVID-19 patients, but to adhere strictly to all the safety measures by observing social and physical distancing to promote their health.
Yes, we recorded a success story because one of the 9 cases so far confirmed in Ebonyi State was discharged. Helen Hati, because she has tested negative to COVID-19. I equally thank the frontline health workers who has demonstrated a lot of courage and sacrifices to take care of these patients.
And we are trying our best to make sure that the asymptomatic does not become symptomatic.
On the isolation center under construction, the health commissioner said the facility will be ready in 2 weeks. In Abakaliki, Kingsley Okoro, NTA News.
The National Inland Waterways Authority, NIWA, is aligning with the federal government in its commitment to flatten the curve and reduce drastically the number of COVID-19 patients in Nigeria. NIWA believes strict adherence to NCDC directives is the nation's best approach to combating the threat of the pandemic. Charles Afa has more.
The National Inland Waterways Authority's jetties operations, cargoes, vessels, barges and ferries have all been halted at seas, harbour and ports in compliance with the federal government and NCDC COVID-19 protocols. How then is the Managing Director, George Mogalu, and members of staff responding to the adverse effect of the coronavirus pandemic?
Our parent ministry has also asked all of us, all the departments, all the agencies of the ministry to submit their proposals post-COVID. What they intend to do, how they want to get back on stream. For us, we have laid out ways to improve on our work habit, encourage our people, see to what extent we can work to be able to improve on our finances.
With contributions to the Presidential Task Force and Lagos State governments in containing the virus, safety of staff, given the easing of lockdown by Mr. President ranks high as NIWA, aside giving palliatives to communities where it operates, have provided automated hand sanitizers and face masks. NIWA's Riverine Police is enforcing all guidelines on waterways and hinterlands as obtainable on road. In Lokoja, Charles Alpha, NTA News.
All right, it's no longer news that Kogi State is one of the 2 states in the country that is yet to record any case of COVID-19. Well, a situation that has generated a lot of interest. Now, joining me live via Zoom to provide insight into some of the matters arising from the state's zero COVID-19 status is the Commissioner for Health, Dr. Saka Haruna Audu. Good evening, Dr. Audu. Good evening, Dr. Audu. Can you hear me?
Good evening. Thank you. Good evening, dear.
All right. Thank you for joining
Good evening,
us.
sir.
Now, Kogi State, just like Cross River, is one of the 2 states that is yet to confirm any coronavirus status. And, it's making people wonder, why is that? Can you give us an insight to that?
Thank you very much. You will recall that at the earliest time after the pandemic spreads to Nigeria, Kogi State was one of the few states that imposed restriction on the people, restriction of movement, closing schools and other areas of public and mass gathering. And also, when it came to the time to relax the restriction, Kogi State was the first state to relax her restrictions. So Kogi State has been championing massive public awareness. We have been to every household. We have stationed personnel in each of the 239 wards across Kogi State. And since then, a lot of resources have been expended to ensure that people get the right information about COVID-19. It is not surprising. It is not serendipitous that Kogi State remains negative as far as COVID-19 is concerned.
Okay, and Dr. Aldo, your signal is not too clear, but I'm sure the viewers can hear you. The NCDC, some NCDC officials paid a visit they were on a mission to the state. What measures have you taken so far, aftermath of that visit?
Well, we did receive the NCDC team that was sent to Kogi State, and what actually transpired was NCDC's refusal to observe one of their regulations, one of their rules, which is self-isolation or even to accept tests for COVID-19 on their official. And the test was supposed to be carried out by part of their team members. So we're surprised that NCDC declined that opportunity to engage with the people of the government and the people of Kogi State. Since then, we have moved on. Kogi State now has the capacity to carry out tests on individuals suspected to be having COVID-19 infection in the states.
Okay, and the NCDC has also called for caution in the use of rapid test kits for COVID-19, but you were said to have gone ahead to procure that. Can you give us an insight as to why that decision was taken?
This is the first of this kind in Nigeria. It's antigen-based. It is not the type that NCDC has rejected. We have two basic types of rapid test kits, which is antigen-based and antibody-based. But the one we have the one we are using that was deployed for use in Kogi State is antigen-based. It has specificity of 100% and sensitivity of 84.4%. So to us, that is good. And in instances when we encounter doubts, we will not fail to revert to PCR for guidance in such instances.
Okay, of course, I know everybody prays that Kogi State, does not record any case of COVID-19. But in case of any eventuality, how prepared are you?
I think we have our isolation center is one of the best in the country. We have about 180 bed capacity that is ready to deploy at any time, while we also have 2 hospital stations primed to be adopted as COVID-19 isolation center. So to us, we are well prepared, but our priority is to shield our states against the spread of COVID-19. And that is what we've been doing well. Up till now, glory be to Almighty God, that the government of Kogi State and the very dynamic, intelligent and resilient people of Kogi State have been able to protect themselves against the spread of the virus.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Saka Haruna Audu. Thank you very much for your insight. We hope that whatever you're doing that it's right, that is working for you, continue doing it well.
Thank you very much.
All right, that was the State Commissioner of Health for Kogi State. Let's look at some judiciary matters. The Federal High Court, sitting in Abuja, has ordered the House of Representatives to maintain status quo on the infectious disease bill, which has passed first and second readings. Justice Ifeoma Ojukwu, who gave the order following an ex parte application filed by the former representative of Kogi's West Senatorial District at the National Assembly, Senator Dino Melaye, through his counsel, Ikem Makolam Okoro. He is asking the court to declare that the bill constitutes a gross abuse of and is likely to infringe upon his fundamental rights if eventually passed into law. Justice Ojukwu, while ruling on the ex parte application, also summoned the Speaker of the House, Femi Gbajabiamila, the Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, SAN, the Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Adamu, as well as the Clerk of the National Assembly to appear before the court and directed that the respondents be put on notice. The court has fixed 20th of May for hearing of the application. We're going to break. We're back shortly, so you stay tuned.
I wish to once again commend the frontline workers across the country who, on a daily basis, risk everything to ensure we win this fight. For those who got infected in the line of duty, rest assured that government will do all it takes to support you and your families during this exceedingly difficult period. I will also take this opportunity to assure you all that your safety, well-being, and welfare remains paramount to our government. I am using this opportunity to express our deepest condolences to the families of all Nigerians that have lost their loved ones as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. This is our collective loss, and we share your grief.
We have observed the lockdown. We have practiced the measures in order to curb the spread of the virus, but we can do better. The coronavirus spread is increasing daily, and only together can we cut down the numbers and defeat the spread of the virus. Remember, COVID-19 is not a death sentence, and a recovered patient cannot spread the disease. Do not stigmatize. Do not hesitate to report any case, or if you have come in contact with anybody that has been infected with COVID-19. If you have cough and fever, please stay at home and call your state hotline. Find state numbers at www.covid19.ncdc.gov.ng. Remember, it is for your own good and for the good of every Nigerian. Let us do better and defeat the virus. Together, we can do this. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, Africa's largest television network. There is a lot of fake news and report circulating, especially on social media, on the coronavirus. Do not believe or partake in the spread of these fake reports. If it is not on the official website or news from the Nigerian Center for Disease Control, NCDC, disregard such report. Only together can we beat this virus. Only together can we overcome this pandemic. Follow the instructions and guidelines provided to combat this virus. Most importantly, stay at home. Self-isolate, regardless of your status. The virus doesn't move unless we move. Let us work together to better Nigeria. Together, we can do this. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, Africa's largest television network. Nigerians, let us take responsibility. Stay healthy, stay safe, and curb the spread of the virus. Take responsibility. The coronavirus spreads from one person to another. Let us avoid crowd gathering of any kind for any reason. Take responsibility. Avoid traveling from one state to another during these lockdown restrictions. Obey all the rules that are put in place. Take responsibility. Stop spreading fake news and unverified reports about the coronavirus. There is no known cure for COVID-19. Take responsibility. Observe all the measures that can help stop the spread of the virus. Together, we can do this, but only if we take responsibility. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, Africa's largest television network.
Thanks for being there. The Federation of Tourism Associations of Nigeria has appealed to the federal government to include its members in the proposed post-COVID-19 intervention fund. President of the association, Sali Rabo, made the appeal while briefing journalists in Abuja of the impact of COVID-19 on the tourism industry. Let's hear from Oina Kaluoka.
One of the businesses most affected by the COVID-19 is the tourism sector. With the airport shutting down, hotels and tourism-related businesses disappearing, and hundreds of jobs lost. In Nigeria, the story is not different. As the Federation of Tourism Associations of Nigeria says, the industry needs intervention from the federal government.
The next largest employer of labor is the hospitality sector. If you look at the number of people that are employed in our hotels, in our travel agencies, and even other auxiliary services that are being provided by the hospitality sector, then there is the need to support this industry to avoid further catastrophe.
The association recommended that the solicited 150 billion naira intervention fund should be channeled through low-interest loans, import duty waivers, tax reliefs, domestic tourism promotion.
We're going to have a revenue of about $0.89 billion lost to the Nigerian economy.
We employ about 30,000 staff.
The Federation of Tourism Associations of Nigeria is the umbrella body of all the private sector tourism business owners and operators in Nigeria. Oyinna Kalu Oka, NTA News.
And just like the tourism sector counting losses, the schools are also counting losses. The prevailing closure of schools occasioned by coronavirus pandemic has added to the challenges confronting the education sector, as some private school owners in Nigeria are now battling with revenue to remit their bills to stakeholders in the sector. For instance, Akwa Ibom State private school operators are lamenting their losses. Joy Ubani reports.
Education is one of the most affected sectors for fear of providing a congenial environment for community transmission of COVID-19. It is observed that the novel coronavirus has subjected students to e-learning method, where schools are embracing the internet as a veritable platform for teaching and learning to avoid redundancy. In Uyo, the Akwa Ibom State capital, some private schools have joined the world over in internet teaching.
I wouldn't say it would take the place of the physical teaching the teachers give to children in school. However, because of the situation we found ourselves, I think it's really helping.
My children are not coping with the online education.
Some of the private school owners groan on the losses the COVID-19 dilemma has caused since the total lockdown of schools in the state.
The lockdown has affected adversely, the educational systems.
Parents are no more paying school fee. We are still paying our teachers, and which means the school is running at a loss.
As the government around the world fashion out ways of ensuring teaching continues, even in the absence of the traditional classroom setting, it is believed that coronavirus pandemic will soon be over. In Uyo, Joy Ubani, NTA News.
Thanks, Joy. Nothing lasts forever. This too shall pass. Let's join Adeola in Lagos for more on COVID-19, I'm sure. Adeola.
Thank you, Ruth. The National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, has launched Palliatives for micro, small and medium enterprises, MSMEs, in Nigeria through free e-registration. Ken Igbeluge reports that the move is to promote local manufacturing and cushion the effects of the coronavirus pandemic on the sector.
There is no doubt that the COVID-19 pandemic has proven to be a serious challenge to the global economy and Nigeria inclusive. Financial experts have, however, argued that many micro, small and medium enterprises will go out of business after the coronavirus pandemic. The virtual launch by National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control is to introduce some palliative measures to assist the MSMEs in expediting e-registration of their products.
Our staff are ready to assist micro and small businesses to see this opportunity to register their products.
Let's make things easy. We know that phones will be a problem. We know that most of them were actually struggling before, and a lot of them have ideas that can actually help the economy recover. And so we sat down together and we said, look, if it's possible for us, we would like to reduce our tariff, even if it's just a window period, to see how they can jumpstart again. Because everywhere has been really quiet and dull. So
the Vice President, Professor Yemi Oshibajo, who spoke via Zoom, said the challenges posed by COVID-19 pandemic have presented unprecedented opportunities for Nigeria to reset critical sector of its economy. The stakeholders' virtual meeting also provided an opportunity to strengthen the productive capacity of MSMEs in Lagos. Ken Igbeluge, NTA News.
coronavirus pandemic is putting a strain on healthcare workers all around the world, and more skilled health personnel are supporting management of patients at isolation centers as volunteers. Jennifer Igwe visited the Enugu Isolation Center in Lagos and reports on health volunteers undergoing training.
Adimbola Julius has been working as a lab scientist for 32 years now. He is one of the volunteers in training at the Enugu Isolation Center in Lagos. For him, volunteering as a health worker to take care and attend to COVID-19 patients is an opportunity to serve the nation and humanity.
On all levels should come together to solve the problem. We can't, if the government is willing to train us, we should come out and be part of the solution to the problem. That's why some of us are here for this training.
So are you not like worried or afraid or anything?
Why should I be if it is to save life? That's why we are trained. You have to be ready to save the situation. And since we are being told what to do, I commend the state government for giving this opportunity for us to know how to go about it.
This also meets this beautiful young lady, Dr. Ikpe, who is also a volunteer in training. So why join the team?
As a doctor, I have consecrated my life to the service of humanity, and so I would want to help my country overcome the odds of this virus.
These Nigerians and other health workers who are out to save lives and add immeasurable value in the management of COVID-19 in spite of the health risks are a true reflection of being one's brother's keeper. In Lagos, Jennifer Igwe, NTA News.
And I'm done with my bit from here. Ruth, it's back to you.
Thanks, Adiola. The Vehicle Inspection Unit of the Cross River State Public Transportation Department has convicted over 10 offenders for violation of road traffic regulations in Calabar. The Chief Vehicle Inspection Officer, Paul Bipe, says instituting a mobile court becomes imperative in checkmating the level of lawlessness by motorists as the nation continues to battle against the spread of the coronavirus pandemic.
Offenders were convicted for actions contrary to the Road Traffic Management Regulatory Agency law. Verdicts arising from proceedings outlines fines on offenders for overloading of passengers, worn-out tires, expired vehicle particulars, and defective brake lights, among others. Officer in charge of driver's education, Akam Stanley, says the VIO will not be deterred in ensuring that traffic laws are adhered to on the Nigerian highways.
The motorists have taken advantage of the season and are now violating this rule of social distancing.
It was also ruled that where offenders fail to comply with the fine as stipulated by the mobile court, the vehicle inspection officers should take custody of the impounded vehicles. In Calabar, Achibombasi, NTA News.
Some have been convicted, some are regaining freedom. 127 inmates have regained their freedom from the 10 custodial centers in Niger State, while 6 were granted bail by the Chief Judge of the state, Justice Aliyu Meyaki. Fatima Usman reports that the exercise was in line with President Muhammadu Buhari's directive to decongest custodial centers across the country.
The Chief Judge of Niger State, Justice Aliyu Meyaki, led other stakeholders round the 10 custodial centers in the state, including the state remand home, leading to the release of 127 inmates. The condition leading to their liberation ranged from lack of case file, ill health, good moral conduct to mental instability, while some were summarily tried and released, having served their jail terms while awaiting trial. Justice Aliyu Meyaki admonished those released on attitudinal change and charged the prosecutors to be conscious of their roles while being guided by the rights of those standing trial. He also charged them to give cases accelerated hearing to ensure that justice is not denied.
So the best under the circumstances is for each of these sectors to perform their duty diligently and as speedily as possible.
46 inmates had earlier been granted state pardon by Governor Abubakar Sani Bello, bringing the total number of freed inmates this year to 173. In Mina, I am Fatima Usman, NTA News.
It's day 13 since federal government relaxes the lockdown in the FCT and other parts of the country, with activities gradually picking up in the capital city. Joshua Ojito monitors level of compliance by residents on guidelines to keep them safe from the coronavirus.
For about 2 weeks now, there is no restriction of movement in the FCT from 6 in the morning to 8 in the evening, with a gradual ease of the lockdown in the capital city to contain the spread of coronavirus. However, there are guidelines to prevent a resident from contracting the virus, which include the mandatory use of face masks, regular hand washing, and keeping social distancing. The residents of the FCT are already complying with some of these guidelines.
I really appreciate government. One, they even opened the lockdown.
Commercial drivers in the capital city have also adjusted to the safety measures by reducing number of passengers in their vehicles.
Nowadays, they carry one at front, two at back, but they increase the money.
Like the other day, I came from Kabusa. They are carrying 2 at the front, 4 at the back. So that one, that means they are not keeping to the distance.
Please use your nose mask for your own good.
The ambience in one of the markets in the nation's capital, Abuja, shows that economic activities are gradually picking up. However, observing social distance in a place like this remains a challenge for stakeholders.
If they allow every other person in the market to open, they will help to scatter the population that enters the market.
Yes, we know that achieving social distance in a place like this is difficult. And that is why the FCTA administration has also created what is called neighborhood selling point. The idea was to decentralize the markets in the city so that people will go to their neighborhoods and have access to their daily groceries.
In Abuja, Joshua Ojito, NTA News.
Thanks, Joshua. More than 100,000 persons in Kogi State have benefited from food items and essential commodities distributed as palliatives for 3 local government areas. Francis Udojo reports that the Federal Commissioner, National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons, Bashir Garba Mohammed, carried out the exercise in Ayumba, the Kina local government area of Kogi State.
This is Ayumba, the Kina local government area of Kogi State. Converged here are people from 3 local government areas of Ibaji, Igalamela and Basa local government areas. All of them you are seeing here are internally displaced persons. The people are predominantly farmers and fishermen living around the rivers Benue and Niger. One of the major natural disasters that is affecting their settlement in recent times is that of flooding. The Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Commission decided to assist affected areas with food items and other essential commodities.
Before this present time, we'll be passing through a lot of hard work of flood and other crises in our community. So ever since that time, we have no place to resettle.
Like in some of our houses are breaking, collapsing, like our food items in the farm are destroying.
The gesture, Senator Bashir Garba Mohammed described as humane and a directive by President Muhammadu Buhari to care for the IDPs.
As it is our duty to provide them with care and maintenance, we will continue to support the state with special interventions as the needs arise.
The Federal Commissioner had earlier paid a visit to the Kogi State government to intimate the government of the purpose of his visit.
I want to commend your efforts, the effort of the ministry, the effort of Mr. President for the rapid action to helping the vulnerables.
It is believed that the gesture will go a long way to meet the yearnings of the people. From Ayumba, the Kina local government area, Francis Udojo, NTA News.
And from Kogi State, let's find out how Enugu is faring in terms of distribution of palliatives as we join Mina to guide us. Mina?
Ruth, good evening and welcome to Enugu. The Enugu State government has extended a helping hand to the women in different Christian denominations in the state to cushion the effects of the lockdown on families. The state governor handed over 600 bags of rice and other food items to women leaders of some churches for onward distribution to their members. Susan Eze has details.
The lockdown on business activities and movement of people in the state has no doubt inflicted hardship on many families whose sources of income have been put on hold. Touched by the plight of the people, the state governor donated food items to families through the women in the churches to alleviate their sufferings. Handing over the items to women leaders of the Anglican and Catholic dioceses in Enugu State, the deputy governor and chairman of the State Palliative Committee on COVID-19 said government is particularly touched by the plight of women who also bear the burden of feeding the families, hence the donation of food items.
Please take it home, share it properly.
The items, which include 300 bags of rice, 300 bags of semovita, 50 gallons of vegetable oil, 180 cartons of tomato paste, 50 cartons of noodles, were presented to the women groups of each denomination. On behalf of their members, the President, Enugu Provincial Anglican Mothers Union, and the National President, Catholic Women Organization, appreciated the gifts.
It is timely because when you go to the village, you see that there are a lot of people who are in need of all these items that all of us are praying. But this pandemic will pass us by soon.
More women groups from other Christian denominations are to also benefit from the state government's gesture. In Enugu, Susan Eze, NTA News.
Two communities in Umuahia of Abia State have benefited from palliatives from some philanthropists to cushion the effect. Ifeoma Ndokoli reports that the beneficiaries were full of praises to the government and their benefactor.
The lockdown in Umuahia has been eased down a bit as markets and offices now open 3 times a week between the hours of 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. The state borders are still under tight security with COVID response teams also on ground to ensure compliance. Residents are, however, complaining of hike in the cost of food items and other commodities due to the border closure, asking government to come to their aid. Meanwhile, more individuals have continued to complement the efforts of the state government by donating bags of rice and money to some communities in Umuahia to cushion the effect of the border closure on the people. The people of Ohuhu and Olokoro were among the communities that benefited from the gesture.
We are very happy to receive these items.
Very, very happy since this shutdown caused by COVID-19. Our members have been indoors and they have been suffering, most of them in objectivity.
From the 2 index cases who have recovered and have since been discharged, Abia has not recorded any other case of COVID-19. In Umuahia, Ifeoma Ndokoli, NTA News.
And that does it from Enugu. It's back to you, Ruth, for a continuation of Nationwide.
Thanks, Mina. There is the need to integrate gender dimensions with female experts into the nation's response plans with dedicated finance to combat COVID-19. Now, this was contained in the communique issued by the Women Leadership Institute at the end of a one-day international summit. Mamso Demiendeti reports.
The international conference that often connects women from different parts of the world is this time around connecting not under one roof, but on an electronic gadget and social media platform.
Dr. Mrs. Kema Chikwe.
This is at the maiden online colloquium of the Women's Leadership Institute to discuss the demand for women's leadership in socio-economic and political sectors of development in the face of the coronavirus pandemic, now and after.
We want to be able to use the comparative advantage, the resiliency that Madeleine Albright so profoundly and eloquently referred to bring to the table as we participate in post-COVID preparedness and positioning.
The youth should be given vocational training so that they should be running with their mothers and the community to run profitable businesses, so that another trigger is going to come to Africa, which is Africa is open for business.
A woman will always empower their followers. They will always be a strong model with high values. And a woman, I feel, creates a vision.
Women from Africa and beyond are being exposed to the themes of gender strategic thinking, women's leadership and representation in context against the current pandemic.
One opportunity I see for women, especially the traders, is the onset of the African Free Continental Trade Area, which will come into force in July 2020. Fortunately, Ghana is hosting the Secretariat.
I want us to also do training for women to see that those lines of business, since we are not sure when international line will be open, we can use this line of business in Africa to support ourselves, since we don't need much of air transportation.
But the women, as I said earlier, manage to construct situations that will adapt the families, the society, towards the right direction.
While commending women for their part in response to the novel coronavirus pandemic, the consensus at the end of the conference reiterates that democracy without equal participation of women in governance and administration is flawed. In Abuja, Momso Damian-Ati, NTA News.
And just like the women, the youths are also getting empowered in Port Harcourt. Let's join Jenny, who will guide us on that. Jenny?
State Governor Ben Ayade is appealing to the federal government to financially support its youth employment initiative to promote self-reliance and food sufficiency during and after the COVID-19. This was while addressing youth recently employed in its agricultural project at the Research Demonstration Rice Farm, Calabar. Paul Abel reports.
These youths are some of the 5,000 recently employed under the agri project of 30,000 naira as salary, which invariably marks the start of a journey of self-reliance. For the Cross River State government, this is a way of projecting into the post-COVID-19 era with a focus on farming and provide means of livelihood.
All young men, as you can see all through my back, all these young people you see here, they are product of COVID-19 employment scheme, because we had agreed that we were going to create 8,000 new jobs. But these young men, federal government, give us palliative, increase their salary, let them earn something befitting.
The men are working, the women are doing the packing, so I enjoy doing the work.
The demonstration rice farm is designed with a plant breeding technology to produce a species of rice to improve yield and nutrient content. In Calabar, Paul Abel, NTA News.
The need for full implementation of the cashless policy in the banking sector has come to the fore. This is due to the challenges thrown up by some safety measures to beat the spread of COVID-19. Osinachi Abraham reports.
Some of the measures to contain the COVID-19 pandemic includes physical distancing and less cash handling. It has been observed that adhering to these measures have become a Herculean task for the fact that Nigerians are yet to come to terms with the full realization of the import of cashless policy.
Don't you think mobile banking would have eased up this situation?
If there were mobile banking, this crowding of it wouldn't be happening.
I encourage people to reduce the visit to ATM points at this particular point in time. use their telephones, your smartphones, your tablets to execute your transactions. And that is the way I feel that we can fight this particular disease.
Most business operators have not exploited the potential inherent in the ease of doing business with a cashless policy.
The best thing to do right now is to open more, get more outlets for ATM, these people that give small money, so that this thing will reduce.
We have this particular system that the banks have just adopted, agency banking. We see them in various places where you can withdraw your cash. You can also deposit into your account.
With the challenge of COVID-19, it has become imperative for Nigerians to embrace some of these cashless policy support systems, while financial institutions do all it takes to secure their customers' mobile accounts. In Port Harcourt, Osinachi Abraham, NTA News.
Well, from here, Ruth, it's back to you.
All right, thanks, Jenny. Let's look at something that has to do with COVID-19, but nutrition and COVID-19. And we have a dietitian joined us in the studio, Nita Bello. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Now, what can you tell us about wellness and nutrition? What is the link?
Yes. Wellness is something that we all crave for. And nutrition from food is the basis for wellness. It's not just that food satisfies us when we eat, but it's expected to nourish every aspect of the human being, from the crown of the head to the sole of the feet. And when we talk of food as being the #1 medicine, we are talking of the need for us to eat what is not just balanced, but adequate to maintain the biological makeup of the person. And if I may add, a balanced diet is the one that we need to eat that contains all the food nutrients, the food groups, not just balancing them, but having each of these groups in adequate quantities. Adequacy here, proteins, that is enough to nourish the cells of the body, not deficient and not over.
Okay, and it has been cleared, reports have shown that people with strong immunity stand better chances of surviving COVID-19 if contracted. Now, what would you advise people in terms of boosting their immunity?
Yes, not just COVID-19. Immunity is very, very important. When we talk of immunity, we are talking of the ability of the body to be able to fight evading enemies, like foot soldiers, pushing back the enemy that wants to penetrate. And the body needs to have a well-built immunity to be able to fight not just COVID-19 coronavirus, but any other disease. But for the purpose of this discussion, and what is now trending, if I may say, coronavirus is everywhere. Yeah. And as it is, there is no patented drug that has been discovered to cure it. Even if there is, food is the basic one. And in Nigeria, God has blessed us with so many variety of natural foods that we can get, some in the wild even.
Yes, and talking about foods, the economy, the COVID-19 has had a toll on the economy, yes, and not everybody can afford some certain foods. But what common and affordable foods, that you can recommend that are of good nutrients, that people can eat,
yes,
buy?
Thank you.
Yeah.
We were not having the best of times, and then coronavirus set in to complicate the economic status of families. But I tell you, when you view the 6 geopolitical zones of the country, there are foods that are cheap with 500 naira. I mean it.
Can you give an example? When you
yes, I'll come to that.
Okay.
You can afford to have, like, if you are making soup of, even if it is okra soup, for example.
Okay, because we don't have too much time. That's why I think you should just break it down. Give
okra soup, for example.
Okay.
And it's cooked with either crayfish, minimally.
But not everybody eats okra, so can you, any other vegetable?
Oh, so vegetable soups Edika Ikong, me and Taushe, I'm from the north. Me and Taushe, which are all mainly, basically, vegetables. And when we talk of vegetables, they possess antioxidants.
Okay.
When we say antioxidant, soldiers that fight what would have damaged the body from inside, it fights and eliminates them to the outside.
What about fruits?
Fruits, vegetables, minerals. Vitamin A, for example, is a very, very immune-boosting vitamin. To get vitamin C, vitamin
When you say vitamin A, what kind of fruits contained in vitamin A, would you say?
In vitamin
Yeah.
A, spinach, you know spinach, avocado pear, ugu, ewedu, all greens. These are the leafy green vegetables. Then the fruits, carrots especially.
Okay.
Carrots, it's very, very important. It's rich in vitamin A, and vitamin A is an immune booster. You may be surprised, zinc is a mineral.
Okay.
I'm not talking of the zinc that people use in.
Of course.
It's a mineral that is
Example of food containing zinc.
Honey.
Okay. Honey.
Ginger, yes.
Okay.
Ginger, our locust bean, the dawa. And these are things that are cutting across the 6 geopolitical zones. You can find the dawa in the northwest, northeast, north, southeast, north central. What have you?
All right. I know you want to go on. There's so much to learn from you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
She is Nita Bello. She's a dietitian. And I'm going to start eating more of carrots and dawa. I don't
It will
really
improve your eyesight. You can see at my age, I'm not even wearing glasses.
Yes.
Though,
Thank you very much. We all hope to age gracefully.
Amen.
All right. Let's join Musa in Sokoto for more on Nationwide. Musa?
Welcome to Sokoto. Wife of Sokoto State Governor Maria Tambol has donated food items as palliatives to vulnerable persons amidst the coronavirus pandemic. Abdurrahman Usman Jubrila reports that the move is part of the session of the Northern Governors' Wives Forum to assist the needy.
The COVID-19 pandemic had plunged many countries into excruciating economic challenges. It has also compelled governments to put in place different measures aimed at curtailing the spread of the coronavirus. Among the measures put in place was restriction of movement from one place to another, unless for those who are on essential duties. The pandemic has therefore continued to make people's life boring and cumbersome. This time around, wife of Sokoto State Governor Maria Amin Waziri Tambol is distributing millet, rice, macaroni, and spaghetti to the vulnerable families. The governor's wife called on everyone to observe keenly the protocols laid down by the NCDC and health authorities towards reducing the spread of the dreaded COVID-19.
Under the platform of the Northern Governors' Wife Forum, we are committed to being there for you as mothers. We will continue to do our best to support you.
Some of the beneficiaries prayed Allah to reward the governor's wife abundantly for coming to their aid. In Sokoto, Abraham Usman Jibrila, NTA News.
The Kogi State Council of Nigerian Union of Journalists has distributed palliatives to the families of deceased journalists and the vulnerable in the state. The wife of State Governor Dr. Zainab Bagudu at the event said it will reduce the hardship of the stay-at-home order in the state. Hassan Abubakar Koko has more.
Dr. Zainab Atiku Bagudu explained that media houses are playing a vital role in addressing public misconception on the deadly pandemic through their reportage. She added that the issue of COVID-19 is beyond the health sector alone, hence the need for collaboration to win the fight. The wife of the governor applauded the Kogi State NUJ for assisting the families of their late colleagues and the most vulnerable persons to cushion the hardship associated with the stay-at-home order.
The work that the ladies and gentlemen of the press are doing in helping to spread awareness, to educate people, and to dispel myths around this pandemic cannot be overemphasized.
The state chairman of the Nigerian Union of Journalists, Alhaji Aliyu Jajirma, said council decided to complement the efforts of the federal and state governments in reducing the effects of the lockdown. He expressed satisfaction with the measures taken by the government in addressing the pandemic.
The council came up with a novel idea about 5 years ago with a view to supporting these families who lost their breadwinners while in active service.
Similarly, the Nigeria Association of Women Journalists Kebbi State chapter also distributed food items to the most vulnerable communities in Kebbi State. The chairperson, Mrs. Laatu Augustine Bamayi, said the aim is to assist the less privileged across the state. In Birnin Kebbi, Hassana Abubakar Koko, NTA News.
That's it from here. It's back to you, Ruth.
Let's talk sports. Football returns amidst coronavirus pandemic in Germany. Tamara Ebiwe reports on the match between Augsburg and Wolfsburg, which was live on NTA. President Muhammadu Buhari condoles with stalwart of the All Progressives Congress, Senator Binta Masi Garba, over the death of her father, Ko Garba Tize Tumba, retired, who worked with the president in the military. In a statement by the senior special assistant to the president of media and publicity, Garba Shehu, Tumba, who died after a protracted illness in Baza District, Michika Local Government Council, Adamawa State, served President Buhari as a driver in the army. The president described him as a loyal, diligent and respectful soldier. President Buhari commiserates with all family members and friends of the deceased, praying that the Almighty God will accept his soul and comfort the family. And that's Nationwide for today. We do appreciate your company. I'm Ruth Aguele. Bye.